All right, here we are again. Welcome, if there's anybody out there. Welcome, Christine. Thanks for showing up.
Mhm.
So let's begin, as always, by just getting the fuck out of the way. Healer's prayer. Deep breath. I am here to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not need to worry about what to say or what to do. Because he who sent me will direct me.
Correct.
I am content to be wherever he wishes. Knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So this unwinding process, I went to share this earlier today and I got cut off. The healer's prayer is so interesting because it steps us out of the way and Jesus takes over, Holy Spirit takes over, whatever you want to call it. Hi, Marcy. So I've been going through this process. We're all going through this process. We're unwinding the ego. We're waking up in the dream. We're becoming the awareness. And so I'm in year 13 of this recovery journey, recovery from severe mental illness. I had, I think, 8 mental illness diagnoses and polydrugged for 10 years. And then I got better. It didn't happen overnight. There were steps, there were processes. It was a journey. I tell people that I climbed Mount Everest with baby steps. So I was in this storm. It was like a nightmare. It was a storm all the time. As I got better, I experienced these calms between the storms. And the calms were scary because I knew the storm was coming back. So I could never relax into the calm because I always knew that there was going to be a storm coming back. And the storms got less and the calms got bigger. And so that's what recovery looked like for me. And when the last storm passed and that calmness set in, it took a long time for it to be comfortable because I kept waiting for the storm to come. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop because it always did. It always came. The longer it took, the more panicked I got until I finally settled into that calm. Like, okay, this is the new Jody. Everyone get used to it. My mom actually took the longest in that process, by the way. It was full 5 years after I accepted it that she finally said, okay, stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. So in year 13 of my recovery journey, I switch paths and A Course in Miracles comes in. And I'm in a very similar process. It's not called healing, it's called waking up. And I went through this huge storm. In June, I started basically melting down. My whole life started crumbling apart. The ego thought system became exposed. That's what happened. And all of the unconscious guilt started coming up, started becoming conscious. And so here I am in like this shit show storm and learning how to watch it and learning how to be the peace, learning how to identify as the Holy Spirit, that peace in my mind that watches the shit show. And so I'm in this same process, but kind of backwards, opposite, where I'm in this calm. What I'm waiting for now, what the other shoe to drop is, the storm that I keep expecting is the ego backlash. Because as I started waking up, and I would have a moment of clarity, I would have more a moment of clarity than a piece of calm. Ego backlash came, and it was epic. And then I'd find the calm again, and then the ego backlash would come. And I've been in this clarity for a week and a half now. And I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Keep waiting for this ego backlash to come. And so I'm waiting and I'm watching and I'm trying not to prepare. Because the fixer wants to fix. It's forgiveness that is still and quietly does nothing. So we're looking and we're waiting, judging not. What a fucking trip this is. What a ride. Mind training. So, embracing it, welcoming it, and asking Holy Spirit to look at it with me. That's all there is to do here. How's everyone else doing?
I like what you said, Jody, about feeling the calm and then still having in your mind the ego backlash. Like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like you said. I experienced that too, and I don't really know what to do with that.
What comes to my mind, Marcy, is development of trust.
Mm,
That's what we
okay.
do with it.
That seems to be my theme right now, development of trust. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Careful, 4 of them are dark.
I know. Right.
Warning, warning.
Wow. Hmm. Hmm.
I'm still listening to Kenneth Wapnick videos. He's funny. I don't know if anybody else listens to Kenneth Wapnick videos, but he has got a sense of humor to him.
He has a really like gentle, soft, humorous delivery. I love it. I think trust is for me like a really big issue in so many ways, like trusting others, trusting myself, trusting Holy Spirit. I mean, just trust. Just the word trust is that's in my life. I haven't had a lot of experiences, positive experiences with feeling trust. So this is new for me, not just new, like developing that relationship with Holy Spirit and trusting that, just trusting anything, really. So, I mean, I don't know if other people struggle with that. Um, I struggle with that. I do.
It was a huge struggle for me in the beginning when I joined the Tao community.
Hmm.
It was a huge problem. I couldn't trust my family of origin. I couldn't trust myself. I literally didn't trust anybody, including myself. And that was part of my hell that I lived in for a very long time. It got to the point where I couldn't trust anybody, including myself, like big time, especially myself, because of all of the psychosis that I went through with all of my mental health problems. I was terrified of myself. Not that I didn't trust myself, but I was terrified of myself. So yeah, trust in like as a transformation artist has been a huge part. I should make a video about that. I have three. I want to do a new series, Tales of the Transformation Artist, because
Mm.
there are some things that I've gone from like complete black to white, and that's one of them, trust. I can even talk about trust now. I couldn't. I had absolutely nothing to work with. I came from like it was a rock bottom experience. I had absolutely zero trust.
So was being in that community helpful for you to,
Hugely, yeah.
okay.
That, I walked away after 8 years because I saw through the illusion, but Master Sha taught me how to transform every aspect of my life. And I experienced miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. And then I saw through the illusion.
Mm.
So now I tell people like it has just as much power as you give it. So
What do
yeah,
you
it
think,
was hugely helpful.
what
Complete
about it was
transformation.
helpful?
Everything.
Just,
Being in community, I had never um, I had never been in community like that before. I had never been supported like that before. I had never been around people who just genuinely wanted to see me happy for no reason, for their own, hidden motivations. And like he's a Western trained medical doctor and an Eastern arts master in everything. So he bridges East and West. So the practices themselves are very powerful. The chakra system is very powerful because your mind is very powerful. So I see it all now with just like, it's all just proves how powerful your mind is. When I look back on the whole thing, what healed me, the power of my mind and forgiveness, allowing the unconscious guilt. He was teaching forgiveness to destroy, but it still is something. It does something. It does let go of some of the unconscious guilt. But I like a huge part of it, Marcy, was the community, and that's the only thing I miss. It's the only thing I miss.
something about the being in a community that only wanted your good helps you start to feel a little bit more trust. Mm.
My first experience in community was with Living Miracles in 2014. And I noticed like the way they were doing things then, it was like you're paired up with somebody and and you follow the guidance that comes through them and they share it with you and then that's what you do. Whatever the day looks like, whatever it happens to look like. And what I found what it did for me was one, it showed me how um like how consistently you can pause, pray, and listen and hear, you know? Like I watched these people do this and it was mind-blowing. And it also helped me dislodge from Christine making her own choices instead of praying, listening, and following. You know, like I went there not even I didn't really have much of an experience of hearing Holy Spirit give me instructions at this point, you know. So it really helped me just disengage from only following my own voice, which wasn't really getting me anywhere, you know. And so it really helped me practice because every time I wanted to decide, I would notice it. Because the guidance came from another person and trickled down to me. You know what I mean? Like it was really a practice of disengage from how you've lived your whole life,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so, and that forced me to, I mean, you have to trust the people around you because you go crazy. If you can't make any choices for yourself and you're disengaging from that practice, lifelong practice, I mean, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about trust because I realized I didn't even know I wasn't trusting for most of my life, I think. And then, of course, I didn't know the ripple effect of that was so devastating, I think. And I mean, I know now that if I'm not doing well, it's because I'm not trusting. And my pain or anxiety, hardship is equal to how much trust I'm not leaning towards or I'm pushing away from. Yeah. Yeah, community can be really powerful. Like I really learned how to you know when you're well, at least this is how it was for me. I'd be in a function or a task or something, and I'd start to stumble with what I was doing, and I'd try to push my way through it, like push, no, I'll figure it out. Push, 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 you know. Well, I would say my second time at Living Miracles, I practiced not doing that. As soon as I would hit that roadblock and noticed, oh, I want to figure it out and push my way through it, go, no, go join. Go join, go join, go join, go join. And what I learned is that the joining is actually the next step. It's not the figuring it out to get the task finished, to reach the finished outcome. It's actually to go join because I remember doing things on the computer for the movie watchers guide for Living Miracles, and I literally couldn't see the words on the computer screen that I had to see. I could only see them after I completed my step, which was go join. And then I come back to my computer and it was the same screen, but the words would be there. Like spirits like literally put a shield in front of my eyes so I couldn't because that was not my next step. My next step was go join. It was wild. It was wild. Those were really great experiences to just stop. No, forget what you want. You want to push through and finish. No, 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 no. That's not what this is for. This is for joining. I mean, what do they say about joining? It's the thing the ego fears most, joining.
Oh.
Like I know for me, every single time I authentically join, the shit that I was feeling before I joined oh, just softens. Yeah. I'm really glad we're talking about trust. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that about joining, because when I started this call, my whole life turned upside down. and Marcy's life turned upside down, and then Beloved's life turned upside down. Both of them stopped showing up, and I did 4 meetings by myself.
Mhm.
It was really quite interesting. It was really, this joining, the calling out of the ego is terrifying for the ego. Like I said before I hit the recording, I really am really challenged with showing up every day, 5 days a week at 5 o'clock. Like this has been such a challenge for me in so many ways. And so you saying that joining is what the ego fears most, of course. Of course.
Yeah, like I heard David say the other day about mighty companions. Um, the reason why it's so great to have really authentic mighty companions around is because they reflect love.
Mhm.
They reflect the truth. So of course the ego doesn't want to join because we're terrified of love. Like that's what we're the most afraid of, right? Like we're terrified of love. And mighty companions, like true mighty companions, reflect love and truth. So, I mean, like there's that part, the ego part knows that it's, oh, this isn't good. This is not good, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
Oh,
Looks like Marcy knows too. Yeah.
I didn't
Can
know
we talk about,
anything.
sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no, you go.
No,
Oh,
no, go ahead. I'll remember and then I'll say it when you're done.
no, I didn't know what joining meant. Like I didn't I'd heard people talk about it, but I'm new and to the course, relatively new. And like I haven't been in community, I haven't been in groups, I have nothing. So I was like, what? I don't get that. And then Jody started having these groups and the shit totally hit the fan. And something I noticed was there'd be all this stuff going on. And then I go to the meeting and it would, like, I would feel so much peace. So I guess I'm learning by doing. But I love what you said. The ego fears joining. I never even heard that before. That makes sense. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, can we talk about, because of how today unfolded for me, I think I would like to talk about the really subtle, quiet, sneaky ways the ego just keeps us, I don't even know what the word is, just away from what is available.
Mm,
Like the ultimate experience is what is available all the time.
mm,
And today was just so many little things for me to not lean in that direction.
mm, mhm. Yes. Um, I heard a story, like a kind of a joke, and it's about a cab driver, and he's in New York, and he's looking for a fare, and he's driving around, and this gentleman gets in his cab, and where to, you know? And he says, "Well, I want to go to London." And the cab driver was like, I can't take you to London. I mean, like, I can't drive across the water, right? And the guy said, oh no, I have a plan. So we go get on the boat, put the cab on the boat, go to London. I'll pay you all the mileage and everything. And cab driver reflected for a minute and he decided, okay, they do it. Get on the boat, go across, get to London, finds out where the guy wants to go, drives him to his spot. The guy pays him an exorbitant amount of money for this all the miles, gives him $1,000 tip, right? Cab driver's like, yeah. And then he's like, oh shit, I'm in London. I didn't think this through, right? Now what do I do? So he's driving around London. He finds another fare. The guy gets in the car and he's like, well, where to? And he's like, well, actually, I don't want to go anywhere around here. I want to go to New York. And the cab driver looks at me and goes, no, don't worry. I know it sounds weird, but I have a plan. And the cab driver goes, no, I know what to do. We go get on the boat and we go, like, I know how to do this. So he goes, well, once we get to New York, where do you want to go? And the guy goes, well, I want to go to the West Side. And the cab driver goes, oh, I don't go to the West Side. Okay. So how many times in our lives is everything completely worked out for us and we just say, I don't go to the West Side? Like, we just make that unavailable, right? I just felt like that kind of went with what you were saying.
I think it does. Yeah, I feel like spirit has me working on some fine tuning.
Mm.
Like the more subtle interruptions in peace. And today I got reminded again the peace of God. If the peace of God is what I want, when I start to think about something else, the peace of God drops down in importance. Like, even if I want a specific haircut, that replaces the peace of God. Like, that is mind blowing. If I'm all of a sudden more concerned with a plant, then that becomes more important than the peace of God.
Mm. Wow. Mm.
And I just like, I guess I'm just seeing all the subtle ways that happens throughout the day. And I know one of my, I don't know what it would be, a core block maybe is like I'll be angry that I'm angry, judging a judgment, that extra layer on top of judgment or preference or whatever, like that added layer is I keep being told that this is not serving me well. Yeah.
What does that feel like to have that, knowing you're being guided that something's not serving you?
It's humbling and devastating. Like Andrew said to me today, he's like it blows my mind. Like, the experiences that you've had, the mystical experiences that you've had, the things that you're aware of, and yet you still drop into these patterns. And he's right. Like I've I've heard the voice of Holy Spirit in all kinds of situations, an actual voice. You know, there's intuition. I've had a lot of that. There's the feeling, like, and I have all these experiences, and yet I still choose something else. It's ridiculous. But Andrew's really good at something. He's really good at not judging himself when he chooses other stuff. It's
Judgment.
really miraculous.
Mhm.
And I don't even know what that is. I think if I had it, I'd be out of here. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting that you're both together and he's reflecting that for you, you know?
Yeah, we had an interesting exchange today because I like the reminder that that's why it's always helpful to have three people, because when one person is insane, you can't all be insane at the same time, because then you miss the point of the mighty companion relationship and the depths that it can go, right? What it can provide. So when there's three, there's always somebody sane, and that person holds the space for the people that are insane in the moment. And today, Andrew and I, oh my God, I can't remember what we were talking about, but I was sharing. Oh, no, no, that's right. That's right. We were out and we were doings, his kind of doings. And I all of a sudden felt like, no, God has to come first. Not going to do a roofing quote. Andrew, this is no, God has to come first. So in that moment, I was sane. And then I went insane just like that because the guilt of not taking him to his roof took over. But he, all of a sudden, just like that, became sane and was like, oh my God, I felt a sparkle with that. You're right. Let's go home. So it was literally that fast. Sane, insane, sane, insane. There has to be someone that is sane and is holding the space, the Christ space, you know? And I don't even know what else I want to say about that. It feels all encompassing in this moment just to share it.
So then at that point, excuse me, it seems that you have a choice to choose between the insanity and the sanity. Mhm. And if you're not aware or you don't have a flavor or a taste of what the sanity is, I think it's sometimes easier to choose the insanity and just go with it. I mean, I didn't even know what sanity was.
I
Like,
think it's so much easier to choose the insanity. So much easier.
yeah, yeah.
When I was a recovery consultant, I would tell people that walking uphill is challenge. Falling downhill is super easy. So when you're recovering, you're basically walking up a hill, you're climbing a mountain. So slipping back is super easy. It's like gravity just takes over. You just got to stop moving forward and like, whoop, you slip back. I think it's kind of like that with choosing the insanity. Like it's just such an easy, and having said that, it's because we're just in the habit of it.
Mm.
We just habitually choose insanity. The ego wants us to choose insanity too. Like there's times when I know I go into my suffering, I revel in it. I want other people to know how much of a victim I am. Yeah, my ego loves that. I think we have to get to a point where we put God first. Like you were saying, Christine, God must come first. This journey must come first. This waking up. I'm determined to see things differently. Because it's so easy to slip back and fall down. It takes that dedication, the determination, commitment,
Coming to
and the
this
mighty
group.
companions. Can't do it alone.
That's weird because I've gotten like some guidance prompting me to let go of some things, and I'm really resistant to that. It's I go into fear, like, well, wait a minute, I need that. You know, that's what happens for me. Like, I get the guidance and I try to push it away, or I try to tell myself, well, no, that's not. But I know, like, I know it's guidance. Like, I know what guidance is, and I follow it, and I don't follow it always joyfully. Sometimes I go through the motions, or I've been known to bargain. I mean, that probably sounds ridiculous, but like, okay, you want me to do this? Okay, you want me to take 10 steps? Can I just take 2 for now? Is that okay? Like, and usually it's, of course, yes, Mercy, take your
Does
2
that
steps.
work?
For me, I mean, at this point, like, I don't have a well-developed muscle, and I still have so much fear. And so, my heart is desiring the peace of God, and I get my guidance, and I just have so much resistance and fear that I'm like, I know that this is guidance, I know this is for my good, but there's so much fear that I'm not able to fully, you know, so I just move forward a little bit. I mean, I just, yeah, that's probably not the right thing to do, but that's where I'm at. Like, yeah,
Are you bargaining? Who are you bargaining with?
like, I want to say spirit, you know, because the guidance that I get is, it, you know, I know that it's for my own good, but I haven't fully developed my trust. So as I'm working on my trust, in the meantime, that's how I'm, feeling like, okay, I'm still moving in the direction I want to move in. But at the same time, the fear comes up. And so, yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, I bargain. Like, okay, you want me to do this? I can do this. Like, is that enough just for right now? And then we'll take the next step. And, so for me, I'm not, I wish I could say that I just got my guidance. And sometimes my guidance comes in and I'm able to fully embrace it. But no, this character has so much fear and clinginess and controlness and, you know, yeah.
I
So,
think it's okay. I think it's really okay because I I think that when you really start to hear guidance, it really starts to reveal where the fear is and how overwhelming it actually feels. So we get to touch it. And there is some negotiation at first. Like like Do you know the story with Helen Schuckman, the scribe of the course, and her green jacket, her special green jacket? She she really wanted a specific jacket, and she lived in New York City, and it was expensive. And so it had to be a certain price, and it had to be this, and it had to be this, and she had all these rules. And these were negotiations she was making with Jesus. And Jesus was like, okay, go to this store. It's going to cost this much, and you'll get this jacket. And you want these tights with your jacket? Okay, you can get these tights. It was a whole very, very specific thing. And it was what she needed. So it was what was provided, you know? It all was like fear,
Mm.
but I'm willing to do this. If you do this for me, okay, I'll do that for you. And now I'm willing to do this. Okay, you know what I mean? Spirit was like, okay, every step you need will follow. And I did the same thing. Um, in 2014, I had a dream when I was with Living Miracles. I had a dream that my job was coming to an end and I fucking panicked. And I went to Jason and I said, this is my dream. And then he told David. And then David came up to me and he said, oh, Jason told me you had a dream and your job is coming to an end. And I was freaking the fuck out. And what happened from that was I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, I knew that it was going to come to an end. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to walk away. So I negotiated. I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, when it comes to an end, one, I cannot be this scared. I cannot be this scared. Two, there cannot be a back door for me to get back into the same job. There can't be a back door. And three, I have to have more money in my account. Well, fast forward 3 years later, my mom gives me part of my inheritance. Fast forward a few months, this happens in stages. Spirit works slowly with where we're at, you know. Fast forward a couple months, I find out my job is no longer available for me. Not only that, my department head comes to me and actually uses the words, and there's no back door. The actual words, you know? So I got everything that I needed. And the fear part, the fear, I'm not gonna lie, it was a fucking tidal wave that was crashing over me for a week. And then, literally, from one moment to the next, while I was in a meeting, and my department head saw it happen in my eyes, I went from that tidal wave of fear to complete trust, just from one moment to the next. Boom. And it was just like, wow, that is what is available when I trust. Because I can't see the big picture. I do not know what's best for me. I don't even have the ability to know what is best for me. Yeah. So like negotiating, I think it's really important because it helps us touch the reality of our fears. And it starts a conversation with spirit. And that is incredibly important. Like opening that dialogue. And sometimes you have to be so scared in order, like I say it this way. Yeah. Sometimes I have to be made so uncomfortable so I will be willing to see something differently. I've had a lot of that in my life. So uncomfortable. So I will be willing to see something else, lean in another direction. Because if I'm just kind of complacent and comfortable, maybe a little uncomfortable, I'm probably just going to stay where I am. Because familiarity is like this toxic, safe place. Safe place. It's awful, but it's something I think the ego uses a lot of. Well, it's familiar. Just stay here. You won't get too upset over here. Yeah, what does David talk about? The people that think they're happy are the worst off because they don't know. They can't see it. They don't know. And he'll like what he says about addicts and those kinds of, situations, it's like those people know something is up. Those people know something is not right. Something is going on, you know? So, yeah, I think being uncomfortable is really important. It has been for me.
Absolutely. It's been a huge part of my journey too, because if you're comfortable, why would you put in the effort to do anything different? You just wouldn't. If you think you're happy with where you are, then why would you do anything different? Why would you change anything? Why would you put any effort in? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this whole course, the whole premise, there has to be another way. Like there's like a surrender point that comes, and then you're willing to accept this course.
Yeah. I was learning about, when I was in Mexico, I was really learning, practicing and noticing and learning about um, commitment, and how definitely in my mind, I don't really want to commit until certain things show up and present themselves a certain way. Then I feel safe enough, then I'll commit. But spirit actually requires the commitment first. That was very humbling for me, noticing that the commitment is required first. And I got to see how the degree to which I didn't want to do that. Yeah. I was shown the degree, you know, of which I did not want to do that.
I'm guessing that was pretty big.
Pretty big. I just remember this like experience of whoa. Like just sitting there in the whoa of it all.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that like joining commitment is one of the ego's biggest fears. That's the last thing the ego wants is for us to be committing to any of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of a hard time with today's lesson.
What's today's lesson?
Today's lesson is I need but call and you will answer. I've noticed all day, like my phone goes off every 30 minutes to remind me of the lesson between 10 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I think. I don't know. At the end of the night, I cut it back to an hour instead of a half hour. Um, but the important part is that I noticed I felt like this with the lesson all day. And I can tell I'm not calling. I'm not calling Jesus. you know? I can see it.
Well, that's good that you can see it. That's the
I
whole,
was just thinking that. I was like, thank God I can see it. And I'm
yeah,
not wondering what the fuck is going on.
yeah, yeah. You're doing it right.
yeah.
Yeah. How many times have you done the lessons?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you ask of that because I've had my course book since I was 30. So it's been 18 years. And I for a really long time, I would try to, I would use it as an oracle, actually. When things would get particularly, it was an oracle for me. Because every single time I tried to read the course, I was pushing. and I was trying to be a good course student and push, 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 and many, many times I was guided to just put it down. Just put it away, put it down, you know? And it wasn't until March that just from one day to the next, it was like go to the course, do the lesson, and keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's been every day since. And then when they start to get a little bit more in depth, the instructions are different, right? Like every hour, every 15 minutes, every whatever. And I just at some point was like, okay, I'm just going to keep it for every half hour all day. And I have not felt to stop yet, you know, or pause and I haven't even been there hasn't been a lot of temptation to or resistance to keep going every day with it. You know, like there's very, very mild thoughts every once in a while, but nothing that's hard to you know when those heavy ego thoughts, a heavy resistance is like, oh my god, it's so heavy. It hasn't been like that. It hasn't been like that. It's been hard work. I've been really, really committed. Like spirit is using time very specifically for me, and my circumstances support that. So, yeah. But it's my first time in 18 years being consistent with the lessons. Yeah.
I've had a lot of resistance. I'm on lesson 60, and I've been doing it way more than 60 days. There's not been a lesson every day. Some of them have been like just so profound that I consciously want to sit with that for a few days, and then other times, like especially in the beginning, this course hit me hard in June. Started on my 45th birthday, June 5th this year. And wow, it like immediately just, it wasn't until September that I looked back on everything and I'm like, wait a second, it's exactly, coincidentally, exactly the same timing for me having this year 13 relapse to me actually picking up A Course in Miracles and starting the lessons. Yeah, it's been
Mm.
just a total shit show. All the unconscious guilt coming up. But I'm super determined. I'm determined to see this differently. And um, I'm blessed to have circumstances that allow me to just dive deep. I operate a business, so I get to make the hours and like just with this calico thing with her coming up in the 3 days a week, I changed my whole schedule around so that I could be there live as much as I can. Every once in a while something happens, but like really, I'm so fucking determined to see this differently. I'm so done with this insane ego thought system. So done. And we just need a little bit of willingness. That's it. Holy Spirit asks for a little bit of willingness. Yeah. Yeah. And showing up here every day has just been like, wow. Honestly, I'm surprised. Like, if you look at the recordings, I haven't hit record every time, but I've actually shown up every day, even though, like, it's really quite amazing the shenanigans that the ego will pull to get out of this, so that the spotlight is not on unwinding the stories. And it's all just part of the process. The louder it screams, the more I can see it. The more ridiculous it gets, the more obvious it is. It's like digging its own grave in there. I'm so grateful that these are recorded when I do remember. I go back and I watch all of them. Sometimes I watch a couple of times, depending on what the topic was. I just recently started writing down a couple of notes here and there, like we talked about the development of trust, so that I can write down in the description like what we actually talked about, so that when I go back, I'll go back and watch them, pull out those gems. It's, I get so much value out of having these candid conversations with people who are going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we certainly can't talk about this kind of shit with the normal folk out there. People who aren't. I have one friend who's still involved with the Tao community that I left. And she's just, we were trained, she's trained to fix things. She's trained to see what's wrong with me and fix it, teach me how to fix it. And there's nothing to fix. Nothing is going wrong. It's like, it's such a mind fuck, just that alone. Like, this whole thing, just this whole thing. It's so counterintuitive. There's nothing to fix. Nothing is going wrong. I need to do nothing. Except develop trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we're doing. The stages.
Yeah, I'm forgetting. I realized tonight, with this joining the three of us, I realized that with the whole Andrew stuff, with the drinking and all that stuff, I've been forgetting a lot that I asked for this. I actually asked for that. And I, not only that, I assigned him the role that he's playing. Because this is one that I get pretty caught up in wanting it to look differently than it does. But it's unfolding the way it is for me. It's actually for me. So it's just exhausting wanting it to be different than it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew's great because he's like, yeah, I don't feel bad for how it looks for you and how it feels for you. He doesn't get caught up in that. He doesn't join me in that insanity, you know? So
Well, thank God for Andrew. Imagine if there were two of you caught up in the insanity.
I know it was really brilliant today noticing how quickly sane and then insane, sane and then insane. And we were each switching so quick. Boom, boom, boom. And neither of us were insane at the same time, But we have been insane at the same time. And when it took me a while to notice it, and I remember I said to him, okay, the reason I'm struggling is because when this is going on, I'm not holding the space. And you're not holding the space. So it's a shit show. So whenever I notice I'm not holding the space, and I feel like you're not, I'm just going to stay quiet and step back. And I only had to do it for like 2 weeks, and it only took like 2 weeks for like a shift to happen, you know? So it was really, it was just like when the willingness is there to listen and follow, you know, at the time my guidance was shut up and hold the space or go. Like stay quiet, hold the space or go. Because otherwise I was just people pleasing out of discomfort, you know? And I was so uncomfortable when that was happening. It's like instant discomfort. No delay, instant, which is a really good thing. Instant discomfort. Yeah. You ever read the part in the course that talks about hmm, I don't know if it's holy relationship or I don't know. Um Maybe not, but it's there's a part in there that talks about, I guess, I mean these are my words so it's bastardized, right? But um basically the sort of the levels that people will come into your life and the purpose that they serve, you know? Like some people come in just for a moment, like a cashier or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Some people come in for a brief assignment, maybe a friendship that lasts a year or 2 years, or in a relationship or something, right? And then there's the other kind, it's a lot longer. It's more of a lifetime situation. And the course talks about them being really rare because it's like all the elements that match up have to be perfect. The perfect combination of all those things, all of them have to be really together. You know what I mean? And it's just so funny way this relationship is described. It's like it's often volatile, you know, and like messy and and I feel that way about Andrew and I feel that way. He doesn't, or he hasn't. When we first met, yes, but something happened for him. For him, the relationship is very gentle. And for me, it's very like, yeah, it's like, and every time I get like this, you know, he can just stop and he drops right in and is just holding space and not taking it seriously. And it's wild because I can say anything. It's so wide open, I can say anything. That was really hard for a long time at first. That freedom, holy fuck. That was too much for some time. Once I realized what it was, It's not now. Now it really does feel like freedom. It was a journey getting there. That's for sure.
Is he a course student as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's in his fog right now, right? His alcohol, whatever, induced fog. But it is interesting. Even when he's trying really hard to be in a fog, his yes is so strong that the fog lifts and he can talk the truth. He can feel the truth. It just doesn't work as a total fog. It doesn't work. It's like when the yes is that strong, it penetrates everything. It doesn't matter the layers, the distractions, the delay tactics, it shines through everything. Like to the point where it's been so bad that he just wants to die. Just let me die already. Like he's like talking to spirit, just let me go. Like my heart is going crazy. Like I haven't eaten or had any water for days. Like, and he's had some episodes, but it always resolves itself. And he tells me, like he calls it, like, I just call on my angels and they show up. And they've told me, you're not going to die because it's not your time. It's not what's supposed to happen. So you can try as much as you want. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for you. You have something else that needs to happen. So it's just not going to happen for you. And so he had to learn this lesson a couple times, push back against it. I mean, I think probably all of us get to the point where we'd rather shed the body than keep going, because I just want to get out. I just want to get out. You know what I mean? So, but he's very clear that there is no way out except through. Like you can't skip over the shit. So, like he has this um he has this thing where he just knows in his heart that everything is going to turn out perfect. Everything is going to turn out wonderful. Even though he's been walking through this like disgusting, nasty, toxic fog for a year and a half. It has been wild to watch somebody push back that hard, like resist that hard, delay that hard. It is wild, like wild. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But if I'm witnessing it, I'm noticing it, I have been doing at least some of that. But I don't want to. I really don't want to. Mhm.
I find the advanced metaphysics of this course to be totally mind-boggling. Because when I hear you say stuff like that, and I go through my own experiences too, where there's something something that reminds me, Andrew doesn't even exist. Like for me, it's my mom, right? I keep coming back to my mom. I have like this huge grievance with my mom. My mom doesn't even exist. That's the crazy thing. My mom doesn't even exist. What the fuck am I doing? My mom doesn't even exist. Wow.
I know. I don't know if you remember this, but in one of the calicos, I talked about how for a really long time, like I call those the big. What did you call them? The advanced whatever metaphysics. The what?
Advanced metaphysics.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's call it that. The advanced metaphysics ideas. Mom's not even real. Dad's not even real. It's not even fucking real. You know, I would use that to hide. It was, and I noticed it, so I started pushing it aside. Just until I'm not going to use it to hide anymore, right? I noticed that. So it's like, okay, those big things, let's put them over here. Let's work with this chair isn't real. This table isn't real. Like one of the first lessons. Let's start there. You know what I mean? So but now Spirit's like, okay, Now, all these advanced metaphysics, now they're for you. Now they're going to help you. Now, this is your foundation. This is the thing. This is Christ. You know, so now it's time to remember these. Now it's time to be in this. Remember this, use this, you know? So, and I can tell, I can feel it. I can feel it's time to lean in those things, lean towards those things. And remember them when there's a struggle in the moment, like I'm pissed off at my father, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like remember that. He's not real. He's a reflection of your own mind, of a belief. He's reflecting a belief in your own mind that you are ready to see, which is why it's happening in this moment. You can't duck and dive around that. Like there's no dodging that shit. There's nowhere to go. Yeah. It is funny actually. I've been caught up in wanting one of my friends to be happy. To like make some choices that will make her happy instead of the shitty ones that have been going on. And it is awful. Wanting somebody else to be happy is awful. It feels awful.
I'm a recovering people pleaser. I know all about that. It is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Exhausting. You can't win.
Well, do we have anything else for tonight?
I feel good. I feel complete.
I feel pretty good too.
Good. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you.
Night.